likes me. Nobody likes me. But that's okay, cause I don't like y'all anyway. And I don't like y'all anyway.
We need to pay attention to all this stuff. And don't muddy the waters. Don't let your mind get sidetracked. Because you need to remember that when, it's going to be time to vote again soon. So it's going to be local elections, all this stuff, everything, all these elections. You have to remember that the Republicans would rather collude with Russians than collude with Americans.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Donald Trump is a white supremacist who enables white supremacists. No lie. I mean, that's accurate. It's an accurate assessment of the situation.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Dragnets. How do they work? Just say no. Yeah. Here's the problem with just saying no. You can go about your life trying not to do drugs, but you turn on the news and you see Wigmaster over there talking about public health emergencies. That's why drugs are hard to stop. Because of people like that. Big week. It's always a big week. Can't we please have an uneventful week? That's all I want. All I want is one.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Oh, Jay, why are you wearing that resist shirt? What are you resisting? Bunch of isms and trees. Bigotry, misogyny, racism, fascism, and sexism. The people here are the people on the South Shore, in the rich neighborhoods, the richer neighborhoods, not the poor neighborhoods, are brought up on bigotry, hatred, and classification of, societal roles. Don't hassle the Hogg. The latest edition of Dyze in your house. Hey, yo. Who's in the house? Dyze in your house. Hey, yo. What is the word, peeps? It is Friday. I am Jay Porks. I am here with another action-packed edition of Dyze in your house. If you're not familiar with Dyze in your house, as of now, it is the flagship show of East Coast Radio. It is where we get into all things that could not fit into the Jay Porks podcast, which comes to you every Monday night, where we cover the rise of fascism. We delve deep. We delve deep into things that matter, like the Mueller probe, like Cambridge Analytica. But first, we had to start a new podcast to add a pre-show, to add a post-show, to add a little extra pizzazz. So what we do every Friday for about 20 minutes, it's going to go short today because I'm still on the disabled list. But what we do every Friday is we do a little 20 minutes on things that, I'm not going to be able to dive into on the Jay Porks podcast, and we call it Dyze in Your House. And it's East Coast Radio for the least heard voices. And I'm here, I'm a liberal in Staten Island, so you want to talk about least heard voice. I feel like I'm talking to many, many walls, none of which are being paid for by Mexico. Okay, so this week on the Jay Porks podcast, on Monday, after the weekend, we're going to delve into the latest in the Mueller probe. The latest court filings. We're going to delve into Veterans Affairs, possibly. We might even talk about Roseanne. But today, on Dyze in Your House, you can't hassle the Hogg. That's right, David Hogg. This kid is going to be the focus of this episode of Dyze in Your House. Because he did a thing. He showed me something. Now, how many times do I talk about, corporate greed and how it makes me sick? That all people care about is money and the dollar and how things affect their money. Like how Republicans would vote for a tax bill just so they can get an extra 20, just so rich people can get richer. They could possibly get an extra $20 and poor people can be screwed. Why would they do that? Well, because money is everything. It doesn't matter what fascism is as long as the stock market looks good. So, okay, fine. But when your money gets taken away is when you have to stop being a hateful person. Hi, Laura Ingraham. You disgusting, vile human being. You would, first of all, this is the same person. Laura Ingraham hosts a show on Fox. So she's, you know, state-run media. Think of Ann Coulter Light. You know, that's what she is. She's the one who told LeBron James to shut up and dribble when LeBron James was talking about, you know, Trump or whatever. Meanwhile, I mean, you know, remember when entertainment was supposed to be only for entertaining? Remember that? And now, you know, people are praising Roseanne. But we're going to talk about that on the Jay Parks podcast. Today, don't hassle the hog. And that's what you can't do. So Laura Ingraham tweeted on Wednesday. Said something to the effect of, you know, David Hogg, he's been rejected by 4 colleges with his 4.1 GPA. First of all, I didn't know a 4.1 GPA was even a thing you can have because I thought it stopped at 4. I thought 4.0 was perfect. I didn't know you can do 4.1. Okay, so she tweets at this kid. Well, it doesn't at him, but she tweets an article that says that he was whining about not getting accepted to these colleges. Meanwhile, I mean, what do 17 and 18-year-old kids do when they're going off to college? They send out applications and they complain about the schools that don't accept them. But anyway, that's besides the point. So she comes after a child. A child who just watched his friends die in school. And she attacks him. Laura Ingraham, you are a vile, disgusting human being. Do you have children? Do you have children? I mean, listen, it would be one thing if these kids were brought here by a politician of some kind. But these kids were brought to the spotlight, were brought into the forefront because they don't want this stuff to happen again. They want to make real change. And they want to sign people up to vote. And listen, the narrative that Fox News wants to spin is that people want to take away the Second Amendment. That's not what anybody who marched for our lives wants to do, or is campaigning on doing, or is saying that they want to do. The main thing is fix the background check system. Make there be a long waiting period where this background check will happen. You raise the age to 21. You don't let people on the no-fly zone on the no-fly list allowed to buy weapons. And yes, you get rid of assault rifles that shoot like this. Because nobody needs that. Nobody needs that for protection. Nobody needs that to hunt. That's a weapon of war. The only people that need that are people who are, you know, in the army getting dropped into another country. You know, if you're being dropped into a war zone, yeah, oh, by all means, have an AR-15. You know what? Have two. But listen, these kids who got their friends shot in Florida, these Parkland kids, they're from Florida. They know about gun culture. Everybody has a gun there. This isn't like New York City where there's nobody with a gun. Well, nobody should have a gun. I feel safe knowing that I don't think a lot of people have guns. But then again, more people have guns than I feel comfortable with. Me personally, I don't like guns. But listen, if you people want to interpret a document written 200 years ago that says that you can have a musket, if you want to, you know, keep a shotgun or whatever to hunt deer, if you want to have a handgun locked away, I can't argue with you right now about that. Weapons of war need to be stopped. This guy in Vegas, this guy. So to go after children who are doing nothing but fighting for basically the memory of their friends, you know? This can't be stressed enough, guys. This is their 9/11. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for 9/11 people. Okay? And I'm not saying that that is not still a tragedy. So don't get it twisted. I'm from here. I'm from where it happened. Okay? These kids weren't even, were barely born. Barely alive. You know? So this, they saw blood and guts sprayed all over their hallways. In school. In school. I mean, I can tell you, listen, when Columbine happened, I was old enough where I was smoking weed, right? And even at that point, I was sitting with my friend, and when we were talking about it, it's like, yo, how freaking crazy is that happened in a freaking school? Like, it's one thing to, like, I mean, in like, the neighborhood, in the bad neighborhoods, like the slums that I grew up in like, Brooklyn and stuff like that. Like, if somebody brings a gun to school and caps their mortal enemy. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's not the same as a massacre. These kids saw pieces of flesh on the ground, right? And they don't want that. They don't want other generations to see that. This is their 9/11. This is their Holocaust. This is their Waco. I don't know if Waco's a good comparison, but you know, listen, this is their Sandy Hook. This is their thing. This happened to them. So please, I mean, save it. They're not this isn't some George Soros ran operation in order to repeal the Second Amendment and come in your house and take your guns. They're gonna take our guns. Just like they took your jobs. But unemployment is the lowest it's been in a while, though. And the wall's not up yet. So what's going on? Is there a correlation? Anyhow, these kids are fighting for sensible gun laws, sensible gun reform. Nothing crazy. So Laura Ingraham attacks this kid on Twitter. David Hogg. So she doesn't attack him on Twitter. She tweets about him, saying he got rejected from colleges. So he just tweets something to the effect of, "Hey, quick favor. Anybody have a list of Laura Ingraham's advertisers?" He doesn't attack her credibility. He doesn't bring up the LeBron James comment or all of the comments she's made in the past. And I'm telling you, Google her past comments. I'm not even going to get into all of them. They're offensive and absurd. This isn't like, you know, a change of pace for her. So anyway. So he says, somebody give me a list of the advertisers. Goes right for the wallet. Right for the pocket. So then, in a span of hours, in a span of minutes, because, and let's put it in perspective, on Twitter, I have 394 followers, okay? And although I'm a real person, I am not verified. There's a thing, you can get verified and you get a blue check next to your name. I'm not verified, even though I am a real person. David Hogg, 17 or whatever, 18, he's verified. He has over 60,000 followers on Twitter. Now, he's no Emma Gonzalez, who has 1.5 million. But nonetheless, over 60,000 followers, he's got to reach. So within minutes, he gets a list of these advertisers. And it's incredible. So, and I'm getting a list right now. I scrolled too far down in the article. Anyhow, so he tweeted out a list of all the companies. And then, as of this morning, companies pulling their advisors from Laura Ingraham's programming on Fox include TripAdvisor, Expedia, Hulu, Johnson & Johnson, Wayfair, Nestle, and Rachel Ray's Nutrish. A spokesman for TripAdvisor said the company doesn't condone the inappropriate comments made by this broadcaster. In our view, these statements focused on a high school student crossed the line of decency. She said he had been rejected from 4 colleges and then he whines about it. Yeah, he's a teenager who wanted to go to college. And by the way, he's accepted to like multiple colleges by now. I think he got rejected from UCLA, Which, by the way, if you're not on an athletic scholarship, it's very hard to get accepted to UCLA if you're an out-of-state kid. So, you know, it was hard for Snoop's kid to get into UCLA because they lived in Vegas or something in some hotel, which was weird. So it's crazy. And then she apologized. But David Hogg called up NBC News and he was like, I don't accept her apology. I don't think it's genuine. Which ones? He's been accepted by Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Cal Poly for short. He's been accepted to Cal State University. He's been accepted to Florida Atlantic University. The University of California campus has rejected Hogg despite his 4.1 GPA. Cal Poly declined to comment. And he's like, obviously it hurts for me to get rejected by some colleges. So, like, yeah, this kid had a real-world problem. That was his real-world problem. But because he's now, you know, fighting for sensible gun reform, and the left and the right wants to smear it as some campaign to dismember the Second Amendment and break into your house and take your guns away, she had to try to make fun of him on Twitter. And then what he did was, instead of making fun back, he went for her pocket. He took her money. And it's just, it's capitalism at its finest. That's what it's about. It's power. And that shows you, man, it doesn't matter who's listening. It doesn't matter how many people you got. Doesn't matter how much money you got. The real power is the ability to take that money away really fast. And that's what happened. And then she had to apologize. And in her apology, she claimed that she was one of the first ones to have him on the air. And she said, I complimented his poise. Well, yeah, she did, because she was claiming he was a crisis actor. That's why she complimented his poise and his maturity, because she claimed that he was a crisis actor. This whole thing is sick and twisted, man. Nobody, and listen, like 85% of America is for sensible gun reform. My friend Chach disagrees with me on everything politically, and he doesn't think people should have assault rifles. You know, I mean, me and him disagree on everything in politics, and we both agree that the weapons of war should be used in war. And that's just, and that's just what it is. And people like Laura Ingraham, that's what needs to happen. They need to have their money taken away. They need to be affected by this. Because the March for Our Lives did not end in Washington. There are town halls for our lives. That means these are town halls that congressmen were pressured into having by David Hogg and the March for Our Lives kids' Twitter accounts collectively, setting up a website, pressuring Congress people to hold town halls now that they're off. And Dan Donovan from New York, he's not holding any. The only person holding town halls is Kirsten Gillibrand. Jilly Beans! I got nothing to say to Jilly Beans. Jilly Beans and Chuck Schumer, they're cool by me so far. I mean, whatever, in the grand scheme of things. You know? Because I'm not for a Democrat on Democrat crime, so I'm not going to go to a Jilly Beans, Jilly Beans town hall and cry about Al Franken. Because it's the Al Franken decade, baby. No, it's obviously not. It's obviously not. Hit him where it hurts. Hit him in the wallet. Dan Donovan's not having a town hall, so I'm going to harass him on Twitter, and I'm going to probably tag David Hogg in every tweet, so I can try to, have him retweet me or reply to me. Because the kid is the latest. He's the latest in a line of heroes. These kids from Parkland matter. And if you don't agree with what they're saying, that's cool. But you don't have to attack kids, is basically the point of the story here. And if you attack kids, your wallet is going to get smaller. J Porks, Dyze in your house.